Dear students, today we are going to discuss further about bioreactors. We are discussing industrial biotechnology, and in which we are going from you can say stage by stage toward the complexity. Initially, we learn about different type of you can say yeah, you have overview the what are the main happenings in industrial biotechnology, and then we discussed about fermenters and bioreactors, their structure and design. Now we are going to discuss about different types of bioreactors available on the basis of different type of chemical reactions and the organisms and the products. On all of these things, the bioreactors are designed and they are selected for their functioning at industrial level. So let's discuss different types of bioreactors. The reference is from Yuri Myoyong, Comprehensive Biotechnology, and Smith Biotechnology. The Comprehensive Biotechnology book is a very good book. It gives you a detailed knowledge about every divisions of biotechnology, including industrial biotechnology. So I recommend you to go through this Comprehensive Biotechnology book for your more insight in this field of study. So, as we discussed earlier, what are bioreactors is just a reiteration for your brainstorming. That what are the bioreactors? They are the containment vehicle for any biotechnology-based production process for the purpose of brewing organic amino acids or different organic solvents or compounds, organic acids, different amino for the synthesis of different amino acids, antibiotics, enzymes, vaccines, and for bioremediation. For all these production purposes, bioreactors are used. And for biotechnology process, for each biotechnology process, for each of these which I described now, for each of these biotechnology process, the most suitable containment system must be designed to give the correct environment for optimizing the growth and metabolic activity of the biocatalyst. So the function of the bioreactor is to give the correct environment for the growth of the microorganisms and the optimization of their metabolic activity and of their biocatalyst. So bioreactors range from simple stirred or non-stirred open reactors to complex aseptic integrated systems involving varying level of advanced computer control. So it's this bioreactor type. It encompasses from the you can say lab scale simple flasks bioreactor to industrial scale bioreactors which are stainless, which are made up of stainless steel, or they are very huge and very complex and very integrated. So it cater all of these you can say bioreactors. So first of all, bioreactors they occur in two distinct types. One is non-aseptic system, and other for aseptic systems. For aseptic system, it is the we can say that there is no absolute essential to operate with entirely pure culture. Means up till now we have discussed about fermenters, and we talk about that the contamination content must be cured, the culture must be fresh, must be pure. But for the non-aseptic systems bioreactor, the pure culture is not necessary. And what are the conditions where pure culture is not necessary? They are the brewing field, the effluent disposal systems, where there is we are the industry is not following the aseptic conditions. So little bit you can say contamination, it don't hamper the process. But in the second type, where the aseptic conditions are the prerequisites for the successful product formation, for example, antibiotic production, vitamins production, polysaccharide production, and you can say recombinant protein production, it is very much necessary to maintain the aseptic condition. So this type of process involve considerable challenges on the type of on the part of engineering concentration and operation. When you are demanding engineering branch for such kind of instrument which must be maintaining aseptic condition at all the time, whether you are entering the inoculum culture, whether you are taking out the culture for checking the for sampling purpose, or you are maintaining pH, you have to maintain oxygen, dissolved oxygen concentration, you have to maintain temperature, and you have to maintain the stirring at the same time. You don't want to have foaming, you don't want to have contamination. So you have so much things which the engineering branch must have to focus to develop such kind of fermenter or bioreactor. So these are the two basic types of bioreactors: non-aseptic and aseptic systems. So, how can we classify the bioreactors? Bioreactors are classified according to various criteria, and one of the criteria is type and form of biocatalyst. What are the biocatalysts you want to use, and what type of them, and what is the formulation of that biocatalyst? Whether the biocatalyst are free cells in a submerged solution, means you have cultures in liquid form, whether you are going to have an immobilized cells or enzymes, you are taking living cells, they are immobilized on the solid surfaces, whether they those surfaces, whether they are living surfaces, whether they are you can say silicon or plastic surfaces. Enzymes, they are, if you are using enzymes which may be bound to some precursors, carrier bound. If you want to retain the biocatalyst, or you want to recirculate the biocatalyst, for all these things define what type of bioreactor you are going to select. Next is the configuration. In configuration, you are discussing the aspect ratio. Aspect ratio means height to diameter ratio. What height to diameter ratio you want to have? If, for example, if you want to have a construction of a tank type of reactor, then the height to diameter ratio must be less than 3. And for column fermenters, you the height to diameter ratio, it can be more than 3. So it means you are in column fermenters, the height is more, and in tank fermenter the diameter is more than the height. So but the ratio is all is very important for having any kind of fermenter. So the other thing is energy output and aeration. Whether you want energy to be given to the fermenter, or whether you want aeration or not. So if you have liquid phase, aeration is required. Even in the gas phase, aeration is needed. Or you are going to use combined liquid gas both. In the reactors, we in the bioreactor, we discussed in the last lecture, we discussed different components of bioreactors. So in liquid phase and gas phase, both component can be needed, but we will discuss more in detail that how we choose the bioreactor. Next, hydrodynamic. Hydrodynamics means you are discussing the liquid phase, whether you want mixing, or you want partial mixing, or you don't want to mix your content of the fermenter. Next is mode of operation. Whether you have batch culture, you are using continuous type of culture, yeah, or you are using fed batch mode of culture operation. So on the basis of these you can say points or criteria, by fermenters are classified. Next is materials. What are the materials which what are the, you can say, the qualities of the material which could be used in fermenter designing. So the standard of material used in construction is very important. So what are the standards? Number one, all material coming in contact with the solution entering the bioreactor actually organism culture must be corrosion resistance. Obviously all of your material, they are somehow in solution form. There are buffers, whether it is a solid state fermentation, whether it is submerged fermentation, there is water, there is some kind of wetness, and where there is a wetness, there is a chance of corrosion. So the material must be corrosive, corrosion resistant, so to prevent any kind of metal contamination of the process. Next is the material must be non-toxic, toxic, because the slight dissolution of the material or component does not inhibit culture of growth. All of us all know that the aluminium material, it is it is somehow dissolve in your content. Obviously it took a longer period of time to get aluminium to get consumed in your food. If we discuss, if we keep in mind the aluminium utensils used in kitchens, so you can say after, you can see after a few years your aluminium pots are not like that, as they are original or new, because as the time goes away, it a little bit of aluminium faded away and it enters in your, obviously, in your food, because you are making your food at high temperature, so the aluminium, they, some molecules, they enter into your food. So it is better to change our cooking pattern and our kitchen styles, that we must use cast iron pots rather than aluminium pots, because cast iron, it's a very tough material. It don't get into your food even at high temperature, because cast iron is manufactured at high temperature. It's very, very, very high temperature. So likewise, when you are going to construct a fermenter, obviously that fermenter, the material for of that fermenter must be non-toxic. It must not take in the content or component of the fermenter, or whether and it might be possible that the component going to inhibit your culture growth. Next is, the material of the bioreactor must withstand repeated sterilization with high pressure steam. Obviously, whenever you are going to start your new batch for any kind of mode of operation, you are going to sterilize your fermenter along with its wells and tubing. So the material must withstand high pressure, because it needs to undergo repeated sterilization processes. Next, the bioreactor stirrer system, entry ports and end plates must easily be mechanizable and sufficiently rigid not to be deformed or broken under mechanical stress. All the entry ports, all the end plates or stirrers, they need to go through the very, you can say, high speed and temperature gonna high, so it must maintain the stress. Mechanical stress does not broke, it does not deform. And the visual, if the visual inspection of the medium could be possible, then it is advantageous. But if the transparent material can't be used, so we have to opt some opaque material through which we can't see what is happening inside. But wherever possible and whenever possible, the material for maintaining or designing a fermenter, it tries to be transparent. But if it is not possible, then we have to opt some opaque material as well. So these are some standards of the materials which is used in fermenter designing. Now discussing about the types of fermenter. So the types of biofermenter bioreactors, we have stirred tank bioreactor, we are having pneumatically agitated bioreactors, those bioreactors which are not mechanically stirred, but it keeps on mixing by the use of some gases or air. So airlift biofermenter, loop reactor, or bubble column, all of these are pneumatically agitated. They are mixed but without stirrers, mechanical stirrers. There is air, or you can say some kind of gas, which is going to mix your content of your bioreactor. Next is immobilized microorganism reactor. As the name shows, the microorganisms are immobilized on different surfaces. Here there are two categories further, as fluidized bed bioreactors and packed bioreactors, we discussed later. Next is membrane reactors and the flocculated cell reactors. So these are the different types of bioreactors, and the selection is based on the points which I told you earlier. Here you can see the disposable bioreactor. You can say it is a glass. You can say vessel which is having entry ports, and there is a impeller. There is a shaft. So you can see it's a disposable bioreactor. Then it is immobilized bioreactor. You can see it's also a glass column where you can see there's a small little beads type thing, and on which your microorganism or your living cell may be immobilized. And the pilot plant bioreactor, where you can see it is made up of stainless steel. It is highly integrated with different computer softwares and different circuits. It's a very huge system. So these are different type of there's a visual clips of the bioreactors for you. Now, what are the strategy for choosing a bioreactor? First of all, the organic species. What is the organism you are going to use? If they are microbial cultures, then stirring doesn't affect microbe, but it and on the other hand, it basically enhance the microbial activity. The stirring process, the impellers and the baffles and the shafts, they are necessary. But if you are using my organism, living organism like mammalian cell or fungal cells, then they are and even plant cell, they are fragile. They don't bear the extensive sharing of mechanical stirrers. Then obviously you have to choose some other kind of bioreactor. You can't choose the stir bioreactor. So in likewise, you are going to select your bioreactors. Then the growth and oxygen requirement of your organism, whether your organism is aerobic and anaerobic, what are the growth patterns, then shear and rheological effects. What are when there's a obviously the sharing or the mixing is basically is motor driven. So when something is motor driven, the shear effect is obviously predominates. So the shear and rheology effects, it must be considered. Then cleaning and sterility, it must be account for selecting any bioreactor, whether you are going to clean again and again, or obviously you need to sterile again and again. So what type of bioreactor, what type of contamination your reactor can bear or your product can bear, what kind of sterility or what kind of cleaning your product required. Then light, obviously. Then foam, for when wherever there is agitation or where there is a stirring process, there is a aggressive mixing of the content. Forming is inevitable. Obviously, then heating and cooling process, and then material of construction, is all of these things must be kept in mind by while choosing a bioreactor. Next is the first bioreactor is stirred tank bioreactor. This is the most important type of bioreactor for industrial production processes, and 70% of the industrial work, the choice of 70% of industrial work is stirred tank bioreactor. As the name shows, there is stirring, and the stirring is because of mechanical impellers and shaft and baffles. So the functions of the STB or stirred tank bioreactor is the homogenization. They homogenize. Obviously, there are baffles, there are impellers, there are motor driven steering. So the culture is going to be homogenized well. The suspension of solid is good. Dispersion of gas and liquid mixture is you can account for this. Aeration of liquid and heat. All of these you can say characteristic must be there in the STB. Okay, homogenization is there, suspension is there, dispersion of gas liquid mixture is there, aeration of liquid and heat exchange is very well in standard stirred tank bioreactor. All of these features are making it 70%, you can say, the need of 70% of the industrial work. So it provided with baffle, and a rotating stirrer is attached either at the top or at the bottom of the bioreactor. The rotating stirrer, it could be entering the bioreactor from the bottom or from the top. So both you can say type of stirrers can be incorporated in bioreactor. Now talking about the baffles. Baffles, I told you in the we discussed the components in last lectures. So I hope you all of know what are the baffles. So baffles are the flat vertical plates whose width is about 1/10 of the vessel diameter. Whatever the diameter of your vessel, the baffle must be 1/10 of your vessel diameter. Okay, and normally 4 to 6 baffle plates are fitted to the inside of the vessel wall, but preferably there are four to aid mixing and mass transfer by increasing turbulence, preventing vortex. Vortex. What are you? Do you know what is vortex? Vortex is any one of you have an experience of making milkshake in a juicer shaker. What has happened there? When you turn on the machine, your liquid get from the sides it get into the inner side, and there is a swirling type of movement. Yeah, your material, your all the content is uh, getting from outside toward the inside. This is called vortexing. So when there are baffles, the vortex formation is preventing. And the dead space, there are dead space in your juicer mixer, and the dead space is a point where your content remained as it is. The you can say the solid apple portion particles, they must be there in the juice. If there are dead spaces are those points where your liquid is not taking part in the mixing processes. So baffles are eliminating the dead spaces. So within each vessel, the impeller is connected to an external motor which drives the stir system. I already discussing this, that there is a motor-driven mixing or stirring. The agitator assembly, including the seal, is often a potential route of contamination. So the agitator assembly, the point from where this agitator assembly is entering the fermenter, there must be a seal there. That point is the potential route of contamination. So to prevent the problem, the shaft has to pass into fermenter through a set of aseptic seals. There are seals, aseptic seals, through which your shaft has to pass to remove any kind of contamination. So the effectiveness of vegetation depends upon the design of the impeller blades. In the last lecture, we have discussed different blade styles. There are 3 blades, 4 blades, 6 blades, and they are you can say broad impeller blades, or pointed impeller blades, or twisted impeller blades. So all of these they maintains the effectiveness and the speed of agitation and the depth of the liquid. How deep is your fermenter, on which the addition effectiveness of agitation depends. So STR must create high turbulence to maintain transfer rates, but also generate considerable shear force. That shear force, that you can say agitation force, that pressure which is being created by the massive shaking. So these are the characteristics of stirred tank bioreactor. So, due to this shear force, animal and plant cells, those are shear sensitive and excess, so they can't bear the extensive stirring, and they result in cell disruption. So, it means stir tank bioreactors are not suitable for animal and plant cultures. Where there are plant and animal cells are used, stir tank bioreactor is not the good option to choose. So, the typical decision variables are type, size, location, and number of impellers, parges, space, and location. All of these variables, they are also very much decisive for stirred tank bioreactor. So these determine the hydrodynamic pattern in the reactor, in which turn influences mixing time, mass, and heat transfer coefficients, shear rate. So all the mathematics is involved here. Since stirred tank reactors are commonly used for batch processes with slight modifications, these reactors are simple in design and easier to operate. Where there are batch processes are used there in different industries, where batch mode of operation is gonna use their stirred tank reactors. They are good, they are simple in design, and they are easy to operate. So industry still prefers stirred tank because in case of contamination or any substandard product formation, the loss is minimal. So obviously the loss is minimal, so it is the most preferred form of bioreactor in industry. The batch stirred tank generally have low volumetric reproductivity. जो प्रोडक्शन है आपकी उसकी वॉल्यूम कम होगा बैच में. ऑब्वियसली आपको पता है बैच में जितना इनिशियल वॉल्यूम लेते हैं बैच कल्चर में उतना ही आपका एंड वॉल्यूम आता है. तो वॉल्यूमेट्रिक प्रोडक्टिविटी, अब ऑब्वियसली वो टोटल कल्चर जो निकलेगा एट द एंड ऑफ द बैच कल्चर, जब आप बैच कल्चर को खत्म करेंगे पूरा, तो जो कंटेंट आपने डाला है वो कंटेंट का वॉल्यूम उतना ही होगा. अब उसके अंदर से आप वेस्ट को निकालेंगे, जो आपके डिस्ट्रप्शन सेल डिब्रेस है उसको अलग करेंगे, तो जो आपकी एक्चुअल प्रोडक्ट निकलेगी वो ऑब्वियसली थोड़ी होगी. सो द डाउन टाइम्स आर क्वाइट लार्ज ऑब्वियसली वो इतना बड़ा जो आपने बैच कल्चर खोला है उसके अंदर से आपने हर चीज़ अलग करनी है, फ़िल्ट्रेशन करानी है उसकी, फिर उसको आगे से उसके अंदर से सेंट्रिफिकेशन होनी है, उसमें से जो सॉलिड वेस्ट है वो निकलना है। तो ये जो है ना एक तो प्रोसेस बहुत लार्ज है इसका बैच स्टिर्ड टैंक के आफ्टर डाउन टाइम डाउन प्रोसेसिंग में। और दूसरा अनस्टेडी अनस्टेडी फॉर्मेशन है, अनस्टेडी स्टेट फॉर्मेशन है जिसकी वजह से स्ट्रेस होता है माइक्रोबियल कल्चर के ऊपर क्योंकि न्यूट्रिशनल लिमिटेशंस होती हैं। ये हमने पहले भी डिस्कस किया हुआ है जब हम बैच कल्चर हमने पढ़ा था। तो फेड में इसी बैच कल्चर की जो डिसएडवांटेज है इसको ओवरकम करने के लिए फेड बैच मोड को यूज किया जाता है बिकॉज इट एलिमिनेट्स दिस लिमिटेशन ऑफ न्यूट्रिशनल लिमिटेशन। सो एसटीबी ऑफर एक्सीलेंट मिक्सिंग एंड गुड mass transfer rate. Cost of operation is lower and the reactors can be used with a variety of microbial species. STI with immobilized cell is not favored, generally due to the attrition problem. Attrition means you can say clogging problems. However, by separating the zone of mixing from the zone of cell culturing, one can successfully operate the system. So you have to have separate zones inside the stir tank fermenter. If you are successful in maintaining the zones, then you are successful using STR with immobilized cell. So this is an example of stir tank reactor, but it's obviously lab scale. You can see here they are small bottles attached there where there are buffers. There are you can say the dissolved oxygen content, and here it is a glass vessel where there is you can say it is not very much clear but you can comprehend from the picture that this is a condenser which is attached to head plate, and inside there is a impeller, and you can see these are rods work as baffles. So this is the schematic diagram of stir tank bioreactor. In the last reactor component वाली जो हमारी लेक्चर था उसके अंदर हमने यही चीजें डिस्कस की थी, तो मेरा नहीं ख्याल कि मुझे इसको दोबारा बताना चाहिए, लेकिन आप इसको देख लें। लाइट ग्लास है, साइड ग्लास देखने के लिए अंदर, यहाँ अगर ये स्टील का होता हो ये स्टर टैंक तो यहाँ पे साइड ग्लास भी है ताकि आप देख सकें अंदर हो क्या रहा है। ठीक है, ये लाइट ग्लास है कि जितनी कोई लाइट कितनी अंदर जो जा रही है इसकी वजह से आप देख रहे हैं। ठीक है, एयर एग्जॉस्ट है, ट्रांसफर लाइंस है, इनोकुलम डालने के लिए एक पोर्ट है, वेंट है, स्टीम इन है, 4 बैफल्स इक्वली स्पेस्ड है जो कि डायमीटर का 1/10 होता है, वाटर जैकेट है जिसके अंदर से वाटर कूलेंट ट्रांसफर कर रहा है हीट को कंट्रोल करने के लिए, ये आपके शाफ्ट है और ये आपके इम्पेलर्स हैं जो कि रोटेट करेंगे, ये ड्रेन और हार्वेस्ट पॉइंट है, यहाँ पे से कंडेंसेट बाहर आ रहा है। ठीक है जी, यहाँ से कंडेंसेट वाटर अंदर जा रहा है, कंडेंसेट आउट हो रहा है, सैंपल आप यहाँ से निकाल सकते हैं चेकिंग के लिए, ये आपका वर्किंग लेवल मेंटेन होगा। ठीक है, तो ये आपका पूरा स्टर टैंक बायोरिएक्टर एक डायग्राम है। नेक्स्ट इज बबल कॉलम बायोरिएक्टर। बबल कॉलम रिएक्टर के अंदर मिक्सिंग मेथड जो है ऑब्वियसली बबल कॉलम के नाम से पता चल रहा है कि ये बबल्स प्रोड्यूस होंगे इसके अंदर। सो गैस स्पार्किंग है इसके अंदर। मिक्सिंग मेथड डिजाइन इसका सिंपल होता है, इसके अंदर भी गुड हीट एंड मास ट्रांसफर रेट है, एनर्जी इनपुट कम है क्योंकि इसके अंदर स्टिरिंग नहीं है, आपके पास इम्पेलर्स नहीं है, बैफल्स नहीं है, तो ऑब्वियसली आपकी एनर्जी इनपुट कम हो गई है। वरना स्टिरर मोटर ड्रिवन स्टिरर जो है वो ही सबसे ज्यादा एनर्जी ले जाती है क्योंकि उसने 24 आवर्स जितने भी दिन के लिए बैच लगा उतने दिन चलना है मुसलसल, तो एनर्जी चाहिए उसको। यहाँ पर चूंकि इम्पेलर्स ही नहीं है, मिक्सिंग ही नहीं है, एरेशन है, सिर्फ एरेशन ही है, एजिटेशन नहीं है, तो इनपुट कम है। ये बबल कॉलम रिएक्टर्स यूज कहाँ होते हैं? द प्रोडक्शन ऑफ बेकर्स यीस्ट, बियर, विनेगर, इन सब की प्रोडक्शन में बबल कॉलम रिएक्टर यूज होते हैं। इन बबल उसके अलावा ऑल्सो यूज्ड इन एरेशन एंड ट्रीटमेंट ऑफ वेस्ट वाटर के ट्रीटमेंट में भी बबल कॉलम इस्तेमाल होता है। इन बबल कॉलम्स द हाइड्रोडायनेमिक्स एंड मास ट्रांसफर डिपेंड ऑन द साइज ऑफ बबल्स एंड हाउ दे आर रिलीज फ्रॉम द स्पार्जर। जो आपका स्पार्जर है जिसने की गैस रिलीज करनी है उसकी ओपनिंग्स ने वो बताते हैं, वो उन पर डिपेंड करता है कि साइज ऑफ बबल क्या है और हाइड्रोडायनेमिक्स किस तरह से इसकी सेट होंगी बबल कॉलम रिएक्टर की। Next is the airlift bioreactor. These are pneumatically agitated bioreactors. There is no mechanical agitation, but the mixing is accomplished with the help of air or gases. So it is used for tissue culture because tissue are sensitive, as we already discussed that the animal and plant cells they are sensitive toward the shearing stress. So wherever those are used, tissue culture, those tissues are used, airlift bioreactors are used. Air is fed into the bottom of the central draft tube. There are draft tube in the center through a Sparger ring. At the bottom of the reactor, there's a Sparger ring from where the gases or the air is coming up, and on the opening of these, or you can say in the center of the reactor, there's a draft tube in which that air is gonna move up. The flow passes through the draft tube to the head space of the bioreactor, where excessive air, byproduct, and oxygen, carbon dioxide disengage. So you can say the flow is upward from the downward, from the bottom. Air is coming and it is moving up in the upward direction. So when it is moving upward direction, the microbials, the tissue culture, or you can say the tissue cells, the living cells which are inside the reactor, they are metabolizing and they are producing waste. So all the byproducts, it moving upward and it disengaging from the top. So in general, airlift bioreactors have the following feature: there may be internal loop, there may be an external loop, or there is a draft tube only. So you can see the difference in the bubble column. The sparger is giving producing the bubbles, and the bubbles carrying the air with them, and they are responsible for the mixing. This airlift fermenter with internal draft tube, where at the mouth of the sparger there is internal tube which is helping in moving bubbles from this narrow column. Airlift fermenter with external draft tube, where there is only air is going to give the bubbles a move upward in upward direction, and there's an there the content move into the external draft tube. From the external draft tube, it is moved. All of this is happening through pumps. There are pumps which makes this move possible. So advantage of airlift bioreactor is low shear, which means it can be used for plant and animal cell. There is no agitation, sterility is easily maintained. Obviously agitation नहीं है तो forming नहीं बन रही तो आपके पास contamination के chances कम है. एक large vessel में the height of the liquid can be as high as 60 meters. The pressure at the bottom of the vessel will increase. जितना size बढ़ता चला जाएगा, bottom पे pressure बढ़ता चला जाएगा, जिसकी वजह से increase oxygen solubility बढ़ जाती है. जितना pressure बढ़ता है उतना oxygen ज़्यादा soluble होता है. और इससे ज़्यादा जितना ऑक्सीजन ज़्यादा soluble होगा उतना mass transfer ज़्यादा होगा. Extremely large vessel can be constructed. डिसएडवांटेजेस भी हैं इसके. कैपिटल कॉस्ट है लार्ज वेसल के साथ. जितना जितना वेसल बढ़ता चला जाएगा उतना कॉस्ट बढ़ती चली जाएगी. एनर्जी कॉस्ट भी ज़्यादा हो जाएगी, क्योंकि एजिटेटर तो नहीं है यहाँ पर, लेकिन हाई प्रेशर मेंटेन रखना ज़रूरी है, तो इसलिए एनर्जीज की ज़्यादा लगेगी. एज द माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिज्म सर्कुलेट थ्रू द बायोरिएक्टर, द कंडीशन चेंज एंड इट इज इम्पॉसिबल टू मेंटेन कंसिस्टेंट लेवल ऑफ कार्बन सोर्स, nutrients and oxygen level throughout the vessel. The separation of gas from the liquid is not very efficient when foam is present. So in the designing of airlift biofermenter, these advantage must be minimized. And for this, thank you. And the next types we will discuss in the next lecture. If you have any question up till now, you can please ask. Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.